It's another edition of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. Jonathan Howe here, Travis Cunningham alongside, co-hosting this shindig for episode 60, brought to you by BRP, Bicknell Racing Products, and also we've got Ohsweken Speedway as one of our big partners as well. We appreciate them coming on board and providing awesome racing action every Friday night. Full details can be found on their website. And Lastly, make sure you go and buy your tickets for Merrittville Speedway from our friends at Vansickle Pet Valu or Lundy's Lane Pet Valu so that you can go and get your tickets ahead of time. No waiting in a line, nothing like that. You're just good to go right off the bat. So, Travis, episode 60, who comes to mind for you with the number 60?
Well, Kyle Tomasky reminded me of this one. Because he texted me or messaged me on Facebook talking about the number this week, and his was Christy Doulage. She's a female flat track racer at Welland County. Because this one is a hard one, and so there's one. And I'm friends with her on Instagram, so I had to give her a shout out. But I also have Chris Steele's very first Mod Light was number 60. I have another one, famous one. Do you think of any?
I got Richard Hadler in the 60 mini stock at Merrittville.
Right, I knew there was a mini stock.
Yeah, Richard Hadler.
Beautiful.
Shout out to Richard. And
the other one I was
to his
thinking
sponsor
of,
Joe for doing all the drone work he's been doing all season long.
Oh, that's his guy.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, I knew there was a 60 in the mini stocks. That was crossing my mind. But then a famous one is Doug Hoffman. At one point in his career was 60 over. He's a famous Super Dirt Car Series guy. And what was the other one I was thinking of? I think Jackson Gill. He's like a Can-Am guy. 60. Those are the only ones I could think of.
Nice. Well, we got some local representation in there. If there's any more, always feel free to let us know via social media who we missed. Let's start with Friday night for you from Ohsweken. Break down your night because you had another solid top 10 run going.
Yeah. So most other weeks this year, I've been starting at the back half of the heat race and having to start pretty far back. I've been starting 12th a couple weeks before that. But this week, I finally got to start outside pole of the heat race because it was timed hot laps, which I hope we do all the time. Just going to throw that in there. I love timed hot laps. I think it's the most fair way to do it. But anyway, I screwed up the heat race. Didn't matter. Fell back to 6th. Had to start 19th. And then just tighten the car up like no tomorrow because track was slick. So I figured I'd just roll the bottom, do what I was good at. And it worked. 19th to 8th.
Nice. That's a real heck of a drive forward, dude.
Last 2 weeks, I have passed quite a few cars. Actually, it's just been the same cars multiple times.
Yeah. And that works out well. Let's talk about the big win for our pal Mike Bowman, who picks up the big check. Of course, this was good to remind everybody. This was a Southern Ontario Sprint event, and so that's part of the reason that there was $4,000 to win. That was the Tammy 10 Little Ben Night, and what did it $4,010 the winner took home?
Everybody got an extra $10 thanks to Sam Haferteep Jr.
Nice. Yeah, and Mike gets the win, his first in a 360 sprint. I saw him, as I knock my laptop over. Edit that out. Had a chance to hang out with Mike kind of unexpectedly at the Toronto Indy on Sunday. I kind of just went last minute and was going to go and have a nice, nice little sit on the backstretch, watch from the general admission area on Lakeshore, and then I go up to see the Mike Bowman crate sprint car that was on display at Rev TV's little booth, and Mike was there with Beefer and and Liam, the brothers Daniels, and they were said, hey, you got an extra ticket. You want to come hang out with us in the grandstand? And of course, I had to jump on that. So that was a blast, and Mike was very stoked on the result. I was kind of bugging him because this kind of felt inevitable, right? Like, I just think the way he took to crate sprints and how fast he found success in a crate, it's not always the case, but it just felt like this was going to be something that Mike took to pretty quickly with the 360.
Yeah. Wasn't the crates for me, is more how he's been running the whole season.
Yeah.
Second 2 weeks in a row, second at Merrittville or third.
Yep.
I think it was second.
Second, I think.
One of the two. And then, so he's been on it all year, just waiting for it. And there it was. He loves his slick track just like me. And double file restarts. You think he started 6th, so those early restarts definitely didn't hurt him because, like, back in the day, you would have been 6th single file if it was a restart on the first lap. Now you got to be right there, up there. And, like, with my finishes the past 2 weeks without double file restart / choose cone would have not have been possible. So cheers to those two things for me.
Yeah, so
cheers to Mike for the win.
So the verdict is in. So you like
for me
that setup.
I'm in
Okay.
on the choose cone.
All
Yep.
right. I like that. I like that little bit of
And
positivity there.
I was
That's
always in on the double file restarts,
I was too.
right?
I really
But
like
now
that.
that, yeah, it seems most guys pick the top. So like on the last restart, I definitely gained a row.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So Mike
dig it.
Bowman wins it over Ryan Turner. Dylan Westbrook ends up on the podium in third. Mitch Brown fourth, and DJ Christie, another solid run, finishes in fifth. Hard Charger goes to Josh
These guys are
Hansen.
all too fast.
I
Should
know.
slow down.
There's good stuff.
Slow down.
Josh Hansen went 23rd to 10th after I think he had some problems in his heat race, if
He
I'm not
nipped me on the
mistaken.
hard charger.
Yeah,
That bugger.
got you by what, 2
2.
spots? Yeah.
Yeah. I was hoping for that. I'm like, oh, I hope Hansen didn't get quite as far as I did. And then sure enough, nipped me by 2. That was literally my thoughts pulling off the track. I'm like, oh, did I get hard charger? And the one I thought of was Hansen that could have beat me.
Yeah.
I knew he was way back there.
And
Yeah.
over in the Strickland's crate sprints from Friday night, Brett Stratford gets the win, a breakthrough win for him from the pole over Mac DeMann, Dale Curran, Steve Murdoch, and Jesse Costa.
Yeah. Stratford finally breaks through. That's another one. That win's been coming for a lot longer than the Mike Bowman 360 win. That's for sure. Last 2 years, I'd say. Last year was the first year that Brett ever got to race Ohsweken, so I'm pretty sure his career started in the COVID year, that 6 race shortened. So pretty crappy year to start your season. And then he ran the action sprint tour on the 2021 shortened season and all that. But yeah, last 2 years are his first 2 years at Ohsweken, and he took to it pretty quick. Just couldn't quite get that win. He's been on the podium a million times. And there's another bad night to good night story because he was wrecked the week before and super mad he had to walk away because I parked right next to him. And after that, when he got into that tangle, and then this week he's a winner.
And over in the Middleport Mechanical Thunderstocks, Ryan Beagle ends up with the big win. The big dog, not a surprise. I think the most surprising part is he's the hard charger, goes 17 spots, plus 17 after starting 18th to win that one over Mike Thorne. How about our boy Mikey Bobby with a solid run? Kyle Wirt in third, Logan Schwedick fourth, and Ryan Dinning rounds out your top 5.
Yeah, shout out to Mikey Bobby for sure when they said 55 because we were going out next and I heard that on the one way while we were pacing. I was like, ah, sweet. Anyway, so yeah, the big dog. I saw a funny post. Chris Dickey posted shared a thing from back in the day where he's like back when he was the stray dog and he was just bumming a hot dog off them. And now he's the big dog or something. I thought that was funny. I saw that just before we went on today. And yeah, big dog. Used to be the stray dog. Now he's a big dog.
Nice.
That's funny.
He is rolling right now. That 84K RK
Yeah.
is dialed. And you know what? Maybe the iRacing BRP Tour win. Maybe that just allowed him to carry over some momentum into the street stock this year.
No, he's just a good race car driver. And like if I ever came into money and I could buy a 358 mod, I would buy one for myself, and then I'd have one like Biggs would be my first guy to give a try in my spare car.
Oh, really? Eh? Okay, let's do this. Okay, give me like a top 5 candidates from other series, other racing, to put in a 358 modified right now.
Oh man,
You already named Beagle.
now you're putting me on the spot. Well, that was the only one I was giving Biggs the love.
Yeah.
Now you got 4 other people love.
Well, who else would it be?
Well, obviously Cody.
Yep.
Does that
Cody
count?
McPherson for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to see him do a full season.
I think you got to put Nelson Mason in there with his quick take.
I'm literally watching him at Canandaigua. He's leading his heat at the Sportsman Tour race right now. Literally staring at it as you said that.
Yep.
So yeah, you'll give your boy Nelson.
Is there a sprint car guy you go with?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking like street stocks and mini lower dudes.
Okay. I would
but like
go
Rothwell. Didn't Rothwell say like I like guys that pick the mods on our question?
That's true
Rothwell
too.
was one of them.
I think Rothwell was.
I'd give him a couple laps.
Yep.
Give him a lap or 2.
What about Jason Fontaine, one of our recent guests?
Sure, why not?
I could see him.
And then I'd give our boy Travis Miller some laps too.
Of course.
I know he'll be listening. He'll be sitting there fuming that I haven't mentioned him yet. He's already been a modified and got lots of good finishes and sportsman wins. So like he's already established.
Yeah.
If I had a car, I'd let him drive it at least for a few races.
Nice.
Until
Well, I don't know what time the cutoff is, but maybe we can get out of here early enough and you can shoot across the border and grab a Powerball ticket and win $1 billion. And then there you go. When you're a billionaire, you can buy a race team for fun.
I'd give all the BRP boys that like Porter, like all them guys that can wheel on the BRP series that don't have a race car currently. I would give them a shot clearly.
Nice. I like that. That's nice of you.
Even DeRitter, come on over the border.
Yeah, why not? Let's
Yeah,
see what
why
Matt
not?
can do. Let's there's no Merrittville to talk about. We had a rain out on Saturday night, but I had the chance to call racing Friday night at Ransomville Speedway and had a blast hanging out with our pal Stephen Petty. Let's talk about. I guess I want to shout out two winners here. But Nelson Mason had an impressive run, gained 9 spots after starting 10th to win the high tech concrete sportsman race there. Billy
Yeah.
Bleach Jr. ended up third, and Cody McPherson had a flat tire and he had to pit with maybe like 9 laps to go, 8 laps to go, and ended up rallying to seventh. So, not the night that he wanted, but still a pretty good run for the old lucky number seven.
Yep. So yeah, Nelson Mason, he's a guy that showed interest and like really does want to move up to modified. So I think it's time for him to find a good used W16 and plop her in.
Yeah,
What do you think?
you never know, right? So,
He just won his heat that I was talking about.
nice.
Just finished now. He won. So
And is that
yeah,
that's a Western Tour region race for the sportsman?
this is some sort of sportsman tour race. Cody's there as well. I haven't seen it. Like I know Cody was going for sure because I saw him on
Yeah,
Facebook. Not, oh, I see Nathan Peaty in this heat, so there's another one.
another one of our local guys.
Other than that, it's all Senate. He's a Ransomville guy.
Yep. Speaking of Ransomville guys, in the modifieds, Matt Williamson gets the win after starting second. He ends up winning that one over Eric Rudolph. Chad Brockman was third. Gary Lindbergh had a great run in the 37S back out at Ransomville, finishing fourth. And Scott Kerwin ended up fifth. Other notable kind of locals, Pete Bicknell ended up in sixth after starting 10th. Luke Carlton ended up seventh after starting 13th. Yeah, that's kind of like our Canadians that were over there on Friday night for 16 cars in total in the modifieds over there. So pretty good little night there at Rainville, and I had a blast. Spent some money on diecast that it's not that I shouldn't have, but eh, I managed my budget pretty good. And speaking of Ransomville, we'll see. As of recording this, I may be set for another go kart start tomorrow. We'll see if the ride is ready. Then I'm driving, but
Get
yeah,
out.
yeah. And, David messaged me today and was like, "Hey, I just bought another cart. I sold the last one that you raced, but I'm picking it up tonight. Do you want to? If I can get the cart ready, do you want to come race it tomorrow for the fun class?" And I'm like, yeah, that would be awesome." So
Man, you already sold your other ride. You must have been so good you sold it.
apparently,
It was your
yeah,
driving.
right. They
Yeah.
said if this guy can run second,
Finished.
then anybody can run second in this thing.
Now, the laps that I saw, which was probably your best ones picked out, which we posted, they're looking
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so we'll see if I can improve. And if I race again tomorrow, the goal is no spins at all through the night. If I can do that,
It's a good goal.
then I think I'm feeling a lot better about it. So we'll see how that plays out. I mentioned Matt Williamson. We should probably talk about his big win at Weed Sport. He ends up with the win in the Super Dirt Car Series on what was that, Sunday night? I think it was. Ended up being.
Yep,
Yep,
Sunday.
and he wins it over Matt Shepard. Both those drivers started on row number 3. Matt on the inside, Shepard, I should say, Williamson on the inside, Shepard on the outside. And pole sitter Stuart Friesen ended up in third after losing 2 spots to those guys. And he led 56 laps in total, too. So
Yeah.
it was a pretty.
The big three were the top three
Yes.
on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Shepard and Friesen started same row, like he said, and then they just kind of picked their way through the same, and then they got to Stu, and Stu was able to hold them off for a while. But Matt Williamson was able to sneak by him first, and then he checked out again almost. It was like, what was it, 5 seconds, 6 seconds
Yeah.
or something? Not 16 this time, but still quite a bit. I knew that was going to happen when if he got the lead first, he was going to be. I knew Stewie was holding them up, and I knew he was better than Shepard because he did get to Friesen first, and then Shepard caught up to them because Friesen was able to hold Matt off. But so yeah, and then yeah,
Yep.
top three,
And Shepard and Williamson now separated by 40 points in the standings. Williamson is down 40 points to leader Matt Shepard. So
even more now because tonight's Canandaigua and Matt Shepard already has the quick time 5 points bonus, and he won his heat, I think.
Yep.
So there's more. They do everything in that series.
Yeah. So
because that's how Matt won the race last time and still ended up 2 points less. Like still, he won the race, but was still 2 points behind
where he started the night.
I don't know if I like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a fan of giving out bonus points, but I feel like maybe is that too many bonus points? You can maybe have that conversation, you know, like it.
Yep, that was my complaint to the boys in the BRPI racing series. I'm like, how is, because Plank wasn't leading the points at one point after he hadn't finished a race yet, but he had won like 6 of the 7 races. How isn't he
Yeah,
leading the points? Ooh.
there's
Yeah,
other
that's how that kind of stuff makes it. Yeah, but
other
whatever.
factors.
It's the way it is.
And got
Yep.
to give a shout out to Matt's dad, Randy Williamson, who was elected into the Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame. Had a chance to chat with Matt actually at Ransomville about the night, and he talked about as far as public speaking goes, he can get on a microphone after a win or a pre-race and do media that way, but having to give a speech, especially one that's as meaningful as inducting his dad or congratulating him on the induction, that was apparently a pretty nerve-wracking thing for Matt Williamson. But all in all, really cool that Randy got that honor this past week.
And even cooler that Matt backed it up with a
Mm-hmm.
win. That was the part I liked about it. And yeah, Randall, nothing else to say about him. Just one of the goats on the wrenches on a dirt modified, and well deserved to be in there. It was him, Tim Fuller, and someone like an older
I think there
guy,
was
I think.
4 in total, right? So,
Yeah, Tim Fuller was
mm-hmm.
another big one. Yeah, I love Tim Fuller
and
and Randall. They're
And
buds.
we should get into. We already mentioned Stuart Friesen, but he had himself a nice little rant on Monday night after the short track Super Series. So break down this one because I guess this is. I was seeing some posts online. This is not maybe the first time that Stuart has been a little bit outspoken about track conditions.
Oh, I don't know about that, but anyway, yeah, Fonda's had a little bit of chop in 1 and 2 the last few weeks. Anytime I've turned it on, and yeah, Stewie was just you could tell he was mad he didn't win. Like if there was one long, so like Williamson had the pole. Fonda's not really his track. He was able to hold on to fifth, but Shepard was leading, and yeah, Stewie had to come from 15th because it's a draw race with the short track Super Series at every race. No time trials for setting up the heat races. So Stewie had a bad draw, had to claw through his heat, had to start 15th, and there was long green where I thought maybe he was going to be able to get around Shepard if it went green. Then it didn't go green, and on the restart he gave up 2 spots, made a mistake, wasn't able to get there. And then yeah, he just went on the rant in the victory lane, and almost felt like there might be a little bit of tension between him and the Fonda promoter, who I thought him and Stewie were pretty tight. But man, it felt tight between them two, and called it an S-hole twice. And like I read some posts online where like Stewie's dad's not doing the track there anymore, but he is still doing Utica Rome. Utica Rome's always tip top, in my opinion. Like I loved it when I was there. Absolute perfect conditions. And yeah, Fonda's just had a little bit of chop, but it wasn't like horrific or anything. I've seen that place be way worse, but you could tell he's just fired up and
Mm-hmm.
vented.
So, what was the story involving Stewie when he had himself a little sit on top of the race car? Because I saw that
That
going
one,
around.
in my opinion, was
Okay.
warranted. Okay, so we're going to bring you so far back. I think this was after he had just won the his first Super Dirt Week. So that would have been 2010. It was either his first or second. I'm 90% sure it was his first Dirt Week. He went to Orange County the next week for the Eastern States 200, driving his own car. Like he owned that thing. Pete's Log sponsored it. Dirt people back in the day remember Pete's Logs were on so many people's cars, like Chad Brackman and Scott George, and Stewie had them for a long time, and I'm missing so many because they were on a lot of cars. Rudolph for a while, and so yeah, so he's his own car, and he's leading the whole thing. Like got through the pit stops, was leading, and it was coming down to like I don't know 20 to go or so, I'd say. And then there was a caution or like, and then a restart or something like that. But anyway, the score put Tim McCready in front of him, like because of the transponder like
Yeah.
skipped or something. And the transponder malfunctioned, ended up putting McCready ahead of Stewie for the restart. And like, if you go back and watch the videos, there's lots of stuff on YouTube on it if you want to go back and check if you haven't seen this stuff. But all the real dirt people remember this like it was yesterday. So yeah, he was fighting the call, like, but he clearly McCready was not ahead of him. Anyway, so it finally led to him stopping the car on the front straightaway and getting out and sitting on the roof, and they had to tow him away. And it was just like extra. He was extra mad because it was like a one lane around the bottom type track with rubbered up, like I talked about last week. That's how it got back then on the Eastern States 200. But even Tim McCready said in his victory lane, like he gave Stewie, like he said, that was definitely a mistake. I wasn't leading. So yeah, that was the other one that came up. That's what brought out it was Rant brought that
Yeah.
picture out quite a bit. That is a
Yeah.
long time.
I
13
personally
years,
don't
probably.
hold that against him, but some dirt racing fans on Facebook would like to. Anyways.
It was so extra because I think because he was owning his own car back then. Like that was his car. He had to put his own
Yeah.
money into that one. So like that meant so much extra when you're not just driving someone's stuff. Like you had to,
Yeah. Oh,
you
for
know what
sure.
I mean? Like right. Yeah. So that's why he was so extra mad on that one. And I was mad too because I wanted Stewie as a Canadian to back up his first ever Super Dirt Week win as a Canadian. I'm not sure if he would be the first Canadian to win Eastern States, but I just wanted him to double up. That would have been the coolest thing ever because he was still coming up the ranks back then.
So
yeah,
I stand by it, and if he wants to, he's one of those guys who's got some experience. So that if he says a track is not in ideal shape, I definitely at least take that with some weight behind it.
Well, Danny Varon did wreck during that race, and it was probably because of a malfunction on the car because of the track. The car it did like. Who did I see? Oh yeah, J.R. Fitzpatrick in the APC race. He was leading and something just broke and he piled her in the wall at Flamborough on Sunday. And it was kind of the same thing with Danny Varon last night and it ended up tipping over.
So we talked about race teams owning your own stuff. How about one for the little guys? And Shark Racing and Logan Schuhart are your champions of the Eldora Million.
Yeah, that made me happy because I love Kyle. Like I'm a huge Kyle Larson fan. But I love watching him lose on dirt. Like, but I hate watching him lose in NASCAR. But nowadays, like he's just won so much. Like I was just hoping, like, come on, let the million go to someone other than Larson. Now I didn't. Like Larson had a horrific wreck in that race as well. Like in my opinion, if the car would have hit him not in the fuel cell and in the cockpit, good lord, like there's no way he wouldn't have been injured. At least, right? You know what I mean? Because it ripped. Like that guy was still going full tilt when he hit him. And the eerie thing about that crash, if you've ever seen that, it's in the Flow Racing documentary, but he had a real bad crash in that pretty much exact same spot in a wingless sprint car back in the day, driving the Hoffman 69, but where he did come down like cage first, and the car did almost hit him in the cage, but just caught him in the right angle where it didn't quite get to his helmet. And it was like in the exact same spot. So like if that guy would have been not on the fuel cell up a few bits, like, whew, man, that was an ugly crash for Larson. But then I don't think Larson would have had anything. That was on the restart after the fuel stop, so everyone had full fuel, and there was a pretty good sized rut in 1 and 2 the guys were hitting, and then cars were getting pretty out of shape about it, and Reichel just couldn't hold it. That caused that wreck. I don't think anyone had anything for Schuhart anyway. He started on the pole, and he looked like he had the fastest car.
Yeah, he was bad fast, but then that's kind of the we talked about with Jesse Costa, the highs and lows of racing. He comes back and doesn't even make the Kings Royal, along with a couple other major players like Brad Sweet.
Yeah, that was another situation, but I just want to talk to him a little bit more about Shark Racing, just how like there's that saying in racing, like these people literally came, like when they started on the Outlaw Tour, they're in their grandpa's old trailer that they home mailed themselves and a super old like toter home thing, and they would tow 2 cars in it, and they only had 2 motors, and they had to like pull off, just like I've talked about before, like when you're running at the back and it's not worth it, you have to pull off and save your motor a little bit. So they used to have to do that all the time. They got through the Outlaw, but like they're the team that, like they always say, how to make a small fortune in racing, start with a big one. Well, they're the team that went the other way. They started with nothing, and now they are millionaires, which is, they got huge sponsors now and everything with Dryden and all that on Logan's car and all that kind of stuff. So they're literally doing good now. Got 2 nice trailers for both boys, him and Jacob Allen, who Jacob was also rolling pretty good in the million as well. So it was good to see. It was just good to see a guy that actually turned into a millionaire get it for me.
The folks from Vansickle Pet Valu and PV on the Lane aren't just fans of your favorite 4-legged friends, they are race fans too. That's why Jeff and Rhonda Riley, as well as their staff, have teamed up with Merrittville Speedway to make your race day experience more convenient. Race fans can now pick up tickets for race nights while grabbing the highest quality food, treats, toys, and accessories for their pets from the St. Catharines and Niagara Falls locations. Each grandstand ticket will also have a voucher that can be used in-store for a free pet bath at their dog wash stations. Drivers and crew members can also skip the line by purchasing pit passes in-store, giving them more time to get their rides ready for Saturday nights. Check out Vansickle Pet Valu across from Best Buy and Walmart on 4th Avenue in St. Catharines, and PV on the Lane at the corner of Kayla Road and Lundy's Lane, Highway 20. Yeah, that's one of the great things about race car driving and this sport is that, you know, like, yes, like there's not that many $1 million races, so it's not like this happens all the time or anything, but it is one of those careers where you all it takes is one win and that can snowball you and propel you to something that you might not have even dreamed about when you started your career.
Yeah. Definitely can't say it was a shock that they won because he's won 4 outlaw races, I think he said there. So it's definitely not a shock that he won. But definitely cool to see them actually become a millionaire. And there was one other picture of him, like when he was running a 358 Sprint Car Weekly in Central Pennsylvania, and they were towing it with like a Subaru station wagon on an old,
Yeah.
like on literally like a Lionscape trailer. Oh man, awesome pick to come to that. But then, yeah, didn't qualify for the Kings Royal, which was for the World of Outlaw division on Saturday. And yeah, that's because they had the set format of inverting 6 and they got rain during the whole day. They couldn't start the race later. I think time trial started at 9 or later. So the track was pretty hammered down and time trialing good almost was bad. Like I think the top 7 guys in time trials didn't make it. David Gravel played it perfect and ended up on the pole. Like he I don't know if you can say he sandbagged, but like I would have been detuning like a drag race guy in that situation. If your crew chief had a little bit of drag racing
Yeah.
background and like they're used to running breakouts and stuff like that, and they knew how to detune just for like a tenth or two less, because that was the difference they were playing with between the invert and not being in the invert. But it was like a tenth or 2 or 3 tenths. So if you could detune your motor just that little bit, just to get try in the middle there, if you knew your stuff that much, that was the way to go. And Dravel, in my opinion, nailed it perfectly and ended up on the pole. Same with Donnie Schatz, and that's how Schatz ended up winning the thing. Donald's always around for the money. I used to hate watching
Hmm.
Donnie Schatz win when he would win all the time, but now I love watching Donnie Schatz win because he's old and
Yeah, I
kind
was
of
gonna say,
chunky,
and
old
it's
chunky
not like it
guy.
happens every single week anymore,
Yeah,
right? But yeah, led all 40 laps after starting on pole. It was definitely
he won the
kind
Knoxville
of a
Nationals
beatdown,
last year,
honestly.
so
Yeah,
always around for the money.
again, not a surprise that he was there, right,
Yeah,
when it came down to it. Kyle Larson ended up 5th in that one, plus 10 spots. Rico Abreu gained 14 to finish 6th. Carson Macedo, who won the night before, went from 21st to 8th. So there's some big movers throughout the field. It was definitely a track that you could make some moves and pass on. So Carson Macedo ended up he won the night before as well, right? So
yeah.
and my guy Casey Kane ends up in 9th in the 9 car.
And the
So
Kings
and
Royal,
was still on the lead lap. Yeah,
that's awesome. He's kind of like me,
yeah.
yeah, hit or
So
miss. Sometimes he's, but then sometimes he's pretty good.
yeah, and I always like seeing him do well, and I'm happy that he's still racing something because I remember like he was just so highly touted as a prospect, and he was so consistent out of the gate, and then won a lot. But
He he did have a lot, but he was one of the
yeah,
rich daddies. There is no doubt about that. Like unlike a Larson, Larson's literally one of the only guys out there that didn't have a little bit of buy-in right now, if you ask me.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's kind of funny, right? It's funny how that's
Unless maybe Kyle
it's,
Busch or something,
well, it's funny
but
that he's
he's
now like the best of the bunch. It's almost like you almost wonder if that fact he had to race as hard as he did to make it and keep making it and keep moving up is what makes him so good now.
yeah. In the documentary there, they said if it wasn't for Chip Ganassi, we all knew that anyway. If it wasn't for Chip Ganassi, it wouldn't have been nothing
Yeah,
because every other team wanted
exactly.
money.
So, Lernerville, you wanted to get into this story from Flow where they actually, I guess, what are we calling it, blacked out the 305 part of the evening and
Yeah,
didn't have those airing on Flow, which to me seems kind of backwards. Like, wouldn't you want to like
it's
promote
just
like what I would assume is probably a lot of local guys, right? And
yeah. I would have known. They didn't
yeah,
show me who
that's
it
true.
was. But anyway, yeah, like just the thing, like we go back, like Clint always says, how it's positive, and like they do have their own streaming thing, I think, where you have to pay and stuff. And I get like blacking it out, so people have to buy
Hmm.
the other one, but I think for that one singular night where you had to break down and the All Star Circuits of Champions were there, why not just let your guys have
Yeah,
the national exposure just for one singular night? Like Lernerville is an anti-streaming and all that track, anyways. Like they're on that side of it. So like they were the track that we talked about earlier in the year that had like no
Yep.
videos allowed or pictures in the stands. They ended up taking the signs down because of peer pressure. And yeah, Twitter just blew up yesterday about the 305s not running, not
Hmm.
being shown on Flow, and because the track asked them not to. Just like sometimes if they have a couple times of the year, USAC and World of Outlaws will run at Eldora on the same night. So then if you have Dirt Vision but you have Flow and not Dirt Vision, like that night you can only watch USAC, or the other way around, you can only watch the Outlaws. And if you have both, you literally have to switch in between both or have another screen going. So yeah, that's what the streaming can get kind of, yeah, that kind of stuff in racing too. But
It
it
gets
is good
messy
for the
real
sport,
quick.
in my opinion. Just let your guys show off their sponsors for one night. I would love to learn who all those 305 guys were,
Yeah,
because I would have watched
exactly
every single
right.
race.
So, well, you should talk about Lernerville. Obviously, is walking a fine line, but they, from all accounts, are still a pretty healthy facility. But there are some racetracks that are struggling, and some that are closing their doors. That was announced in this past week or so.
Yeah, Larson did win last night at Lernerville at the All Star race where all that stuff was going on. And then, yeah, tracks that one like my dad's been to, a drag track. That one shocked me. Atco, New Jersey. They didn't blame social media or nothing. Just said cease in operations, and that's it. That one blew me away. And then there was another one in Knox, Pennsylvania. I know my buddy Jimmy Holden, who races dirt style modifieds, center steer. He's raced there a bunch, and that used to be his home track. So that one kind of sucks too. I've never been there or anything, but that's another one. Just same thing. Didn't blame nothing. Just cease in operations. And then the track that the NHRA was at just this past weekend, Bandimere Dragway. Pretty sure, I forget where that one's at. Colorado. Yeah, because it was Mile High Nationals, correct. And that's where Tony Stewart's wife, Leah Pruitt Stewart, that's where she started her career and everything. And
Yeah,
that one's gone too.
which is wild because
So
again, it was literally
bad
just
trend.
hosting a major event in the NHRA.
Well,
Yeah,
that's one
that's
way
true.
to go out, though.
So
Yeah, that was
yeah,
probably why they did it. But yeah, it's just, I know that's a trend that's going to keep happening. Like the ones that are booming are going to be booming and survive. But the ones that have been struggling lately,
that's why it's important
oof,
to get out to your local.
I know they've been struggling pretty hard. Yes, support your local tracks. That's why streams are good, because you got to go to the tracks too. Streams are
Yeah,
for when you can't make it. You can't say you didn't
yeah,
go to any
exactly.
races either.
And
Got to do
I
both.
I just think like with dirt racing, it's always better in person. It really is. Like it's good. It's good
Yeah,
because we can watch so much different racing from across North America, and you can keep up on some other series. But
that's what it is for
there's
me.
just nothing about their.
I could see more blackouts and stuff. Like they could have blacked out the 305s to local people last night, but still let us people that aren't going to the track that night watch or something. I
Yeah,
think
you'd
there's a
have
way
to
to
do it
do
with
that
like
as well.
geo blocking.
Because there is some, yeah. Because like Lincoln Speedway, they dropped off Flow. I loved watching Lincoln Speedway on Flow, and now this year it's only a few
Yep.
races where I can. And in my opinion, I feel like they could have blocked out the central Pennsylvania area so that their local
I
people had
mean,
to go. And then a guy like us,
can actually
guys
watch.
like us and girls like people
I
that
mean,
watch can
the
actually watch.
arguably the biggest
I don't know.
racetrack in the world, most famous speedway in the world, has one of the biggest yearly blackouts, and that's the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Indy 500. So
Exactly.
there's models, there's ways to work it, and while it sucks that us internationals can't catch up and stay with the 305s like that, there's ways around it. And I think I'm optimistic that tracks are going to learn from situations like this and improve the product for streaming going forward.
Yeah. Just sell the
And speaking
sponsors.
of sponsors, a race that we were a part of with the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast, the Larry Gartley Memorial at Little Middleton, easy for me to say. That was what I guess last night as we record this on Wednesday.
Yep, it was Tuesday night. That would have been July 18th. It was rained out a week. Uh, I gotta check out the messages or the results. I know Jack Burbage won one of the features, and I was pumped up about that because I've known his dad for a long time and still race with him to this day. And I know they had to invert 15. Like it was gonna be like they were gonna invert everyone on the lead lap, and then it ended up being 15 cars. So someone else won the second feature. I'm looking that up right now. I know
How do you like that too?
second winner was Ryan Wilson. These were both like the
Hmm.
box stocks class. So like these were kids getting pretty decent money for
Nice.
night kart
And
races.
how do you feel about that two feature format, the way they did the invert and all of that stuff?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fine. Been through that format. I don't know if like that's how it was initially supposed to be. Yeah. So yeah, I just didn't know if the rainout had anything
No,
to do with that. I
but
don't think it
I
did. That's
I
how
kind of
they're
like that
set
for
up to do
especially for
it.
the kids. Give multiple chances to win a race in the same
For
night, especially as big as that race ended up being.
yeah, uh, yeah. Well, the go karts, like whenever I race go karts, you'd have 2 heat races and stuff like that. And the first one, if you're started on the pole, the next one you'd be starting last. But there's always one feature, and that was I
Yep.
love how they did this. So yeah, I just love that Jackie
Yeah,
Burbridge picked up
that's
the first
awesome,
one.
man. It's been an awesome show. Lots
Yep.
to recap, but we are far from done.
Oh yeah, and thanks to Curtis, he gave my mom a shirt, Curtis Gartley
Oh,
shirt.
there you
She
go. Merch
appreciates
is
it.
flying off the shelves.
Yep. And he bought 2
Sweet.
stickers.
Sticker sales are
Yep.
continuing for
Thanks, Kurt.
this fine podcast. And yeah, I'll have to pick up some more next week because I haven't been at BRP this week because I've been busy covering stuff over at Hits FM.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, I
been
was going to
fun
say, you
listening to
guys
you.
been tuning in the shop and being like, I work with that guy.
Oh, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. Obviously.
Nice.
All the way on.
All right. Well, let's get to our guest for this week. In what are we saying? First time crate sprint driver, right? First time crate sprint winner, Brett Stratford.
Yep.
Coming off a big win at
Correct.
Ohsweken. We'll talk all about that with him coming up on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Ohsweken Speedway, Southern Ontario's home for Friday night excitement. For over 25 years, Ohsweken Speedway has promoted and played host to sprint car racing with a new season of family-friendly events on the horizon and set to begin May 19th. Catch our own Travis Cunningham as he races weekly in the 360 division each Friday night in pursuit of a season-long championship. The Friday night lineups are rounded out by crate sprints, thunderstocks, and mini-stock divisions as well. In addition to weekly racing, Ohsweken Speedway will also hold several marquee events for the Southern Ontario Sprints, the Action Sprint Tour in their West Series and National Series, as well as a visit from Canada's premier stock car series, the NASCAR Pinty Series on August 14th and 15th for their only stop on dirt. Mark your calendars as the 3/8 mile dirt track located in Ohsweken, Ontario welcomes drivers from across the country and beyond for the 19th running of the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, which is scheduled for September 16th. To keep up to date with the latest news from the track, be sure to find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For track information on policies, admissions, directions, and more, be sure to visit ohswekenspeedway.ca. That's OHSWEKEN Speedway.ca. Ohsweken Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Bicknell Racing Products. The last 40 years plus have seen Bicknell Racing Products grow to be an industry leader for racers and enthusiasts alike. Their St. Catharines location is home to 20,000 square feet of manufacturing and retail space, with a second store in Niagara Falls, New York, and a dealer network that continues to grow day by day to serve Southern Ontario, Western New York, and beyond. Bicknell Racing Products distributes Hoosier tires for much of Eastern Canada, New York, and even parts of Pennsylvania. BRP has everything you could need to keep your car performing at its peak, with genuine parts from the manufacturer. They even have a technical support line committed to helping you with the most up-to-date information and feedback from racers and crew chiefs. Have you ever thought about a career in the automotive or racing industry? Now is your chance to take the leap with Bicknell Racing Products. They are looking for CNC machine operators, welders, and more to join their team this season. Please send all resumes to Dana Curving at BicknellRacingProducts.com. That's DANACURVIN at BicknellRacingProducts.com. For further information on Bicknell Racing Products and to find a dealer near you, visit BRP online at www.BicknellRacingProducts.com or on Facebook or at twitter.com/BicknellRacing. Back at it on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Joining Travis and myself now is Brett Stratford, coming off a big win at Ohsweken. Brett, talk to us about the breakthrough performance from last Friday.
Yeah, it finally happened, eh? Basically the car's been an absolute rocket, and finally everything came together. It
Yeah.
was
So what I want to talk just talk about how cool it was to get because you had to really battle for it. You were leading, and then it almost looked like you were going to give it away a little bit, maybe, and then you got it back from Mac to Man, one of the best in the division, you could say, all time. So just feel like that must have felt awesome.
yeah. To be honest, I've given so many away, right? I've had a really, really good car so many times, and every time I got past, it's like I've lost my energy or my drive or something, and I've always given up. And this time, when it happened, I actually slowed down, I chilled out, and I just got my brain back together, and I really just started thinking and decided to focus and not allow it to happen anymore. And I actually had this feeling go through my body where I said, no, I actually do have this if I really stop and think and put my head to it, and it worked.
Do you think a part of that is the confidence that you have in this race car? Because again, you mentioned it off the hop. It has been a bad fast piece everywhere you've shown up this year, and you had the confidence to drive back up there.
Um, yeah, and that's actually true because I everyone's been talking about how fast we are and how good we are, but deep down inside, I really haven't had confidence, and it's still, I'm still not that good in this car yet. Like there's a lot more to go. I'm still not comfortable, believe it or not. I'm having claustrophobia issues. Um, it's just different. I haven't actually I don't actually have it yet, to be honest. But I'm telling you, when we do actually get it, it's going to be a deadly combination. I'm telling you right now, it really is. And I'm not just saying that. I'm speaking the truth here.
I understand the claustrophobia issues in a sprint car. Like when they're yelling at us to get ready, it's like these things are not comfortable. Like we
So
can get ready
so
quick.
I got a couple funny stories here. So the we got the car, and the very first time it was ever at my house, I got up really early in the morning, like 5 in the morning. I was all excited, and I was sitting inside the car. Everything was I was so excited to finally get a race car. This is like 4 years ago now, and I'm sitting there, and everything was cool. I put my seatbelts on. Everything was good, and then I thought, like a little kid, I went and got my helmet and the Hans device and all that, and I strapped myself in. I put my helmet on, my Hans on, put the seatbelts on. As soon as I pulled those belts tight, it was like a demon went through my body, and I fought for everything I had to get out of this car. I'm telling you, I was rolling around on the ground. This is it's almost embarrassing, but
You've told me
there was
this. Keep
there was
going.
nothing I could do. The claustrophobia got me. I was outside in the wintertime trying to figure out what is wrong with me. Now, fast forward 4 years. This year, the first practice at Ohsweken, we were lined up. We weren't using the go kart track. We were lined up. We were just going to get pushed right on the track. Anthony's behind me in the quad, and everything's all good. We're getting ready to go out. I pulled my seatbelts down, and that same demon went through my body. I got out of the car in front of everybody, and I did not want to get back in that car. Now, ever since we've switched to the GSR chassis, which has got a tall cage, it's much bigger in there, I am now finally comfortable in the car. Just the way the cockpit is much bigger. And I honestly think that has something to do with the speed we've gotten recently. I really think the comfort level is huge for me. Like huge.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too, just about how you just switched. Because you build the GSR cars, and you technically, even though Mike Bowman won right after you got it first. The guy that welds them up got the first one, so I thought that was cool. So yeah,
Yeah,
talk about the switch.
yeah. So with the Switch, we wanted to build a brand new car, like new motor, new rear end, new absolute everything, which would be awesome and all that. Because my engine is the same engine I've had since I've started. It's getting old and wore out, but I wanted to do an actual test, like an actual test on the chassis. So I decided to keep my engine, keep my rear end, we even have the same tires that are on the car that was on my Maxima 4. All we did a switch over with chassis and body just to prove if the car works or not. And you want to argue it or not, I'm telling you, it was 3 to 4 tenths with just the chassis switch over. And I'm not saying that because I built them. I'm saying that because that's what we saw. That's the actual truth of what happened.
Yeah.
So,
So do you think there's any
you
particular
know,
reason for that? Like, is there something in the way that you guys are building those that set you apart, or is it just really that creature comfort, that driver comfort that you spoke of?
no, I'm 42 years old. I've been in this racing game a long, long time. I've built a lot of stuff. Anyways, a dream of mine has always been to build race cars. I've just never had the money to do it properly or the proper customer that could pay for it properly. I've had some dreams and ideas for years, and I finally got the opportunity with Glenn to do this. And I'm telling you, like, we put some bars in some areas for reasons. And we were looking for rear drive, rear grip. There's just stuff I've seen over the years. I never said nothing to nobody. We finally did it, built the car. Glenn allowed us to do whatever we wanted. And I'm pretty sure all those ideas and stuff work. Like, there's no cars out there like this one. It's the same wheelbase as a couple things, a couple cars, but there is nothing the same as everyone else. It's all about behind the back of the head, where all the bars link up back there. That's what's giving us the rear drive.
Nice. Well, he's giving us a little secret. Bowman's car's definitely got a ton of rear drive. I was noticing pictures, like those pictures that got posted with his wing trunked, and yeah, she looks
Well,
down and good.
I had a video sent to me today. It's about 4 seconds long. I'll personally send it to you. It's in-car video, and he gets on the throttle, and it just pulls the front wheels off the ground like nothing.
Yeah, and it was
Like,
slick.
like, he is a fantastic driver. I'm so happy he's in one of our cars. He's making him look good. He'd probably win in something else too, but I really think that chassis is what's making it a little bit easier for him. I stared at him last Friday racing around there. I don't think you can make a car turn better than what he was doing. Like, it was flawless.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's
So, and it's
I was just gonna say, and that confidence, like he obviously has the full GSR setup in the 360, but I was talking to him over the weekend, and the crate car is also going to being converted to a GSR chassis. So whatever you guys have stumbled on, especially I kind of got an up close look at that. I guess are you guys calling it almost like a halo at the back there, back of the headrest?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a halo. I think the halo's above the head, but it's yeah behind. I don't even know what you would call it. They're like the back, the A frame. It's just it's where we've got it pulled way back, and it's just the way the weight transfer works and body placement. And the main thing is flex through the chassis where it's doing it.
Yeah.
But it's sprint cars. Everyone says they're all the same. Well, yeah, to a point, but they're really
Hmm.
not. There's some pickup points. There's some motor angles, and there's just yeah, placement of the weights on the wheels, basically, like where it's all balanced. It's just all about transfer, getting it to the rear wheels with still keeping the car free, and it really is doing something.
Yeah, for sure.
It is working. I'll give you
Yeah,
guys that. That's for sure.
yeah.
Okay, let's throw it back to day one in your go kart. Like, tell us about your first ever go kart race, because you are a go kart connoisseur. Like before, you were the crate sprint connoisseur.
Well, I don't know if anybody actually realizes this, but I got my first ever go kart off of Adam Ross. It was,
I knew that.
yeah, it was the 1992 Coyote Free Roller Wide Track, and we were buying the go kart at the end of the season, but he ended up having his appendix taken out, so I got it a little bit early. But yeah, that was probably one of the happiest days of my life getting that go kart. And yeah, that was at the Hamilton Kart Club in 1993. It was the first ever race.
Okay, and then talk about your career. Like, you've won in first ever King of the Concrete winner, won on dirt ovals and asphalt road courses is your main thing. Like, that's
Yep.
why you're so wicked at the karts.
Well, the of everything that I've done, yeah, I was the first winner of the King of the Concrete. But my favorite accomplishment is my Millennium race. I won the first race in this Millennium. I won January 1st, 2000.
Oh wow.
So I won that in Columbus, Ohio. So it's 1,000 years before anyone will ever match me. And that's what
That's pretty sweet.
I got the tattoo on my arm. That's the winning. That's the winning sticker from that race right there. It's
At
January
Columbus, you
1st.
said?
That was Columbus, Ohio. Yep.
So that's like before the King of the Concrete existed, and that was just like an indoor race, or what was?
Yep. That was before the King of the Concrete.
Gotcha.
And then
That's pretty sweet. I like that.
yeah. But then
What a-
another indoor story is I was racing Atlantic City with my go kart, and Stu Friesen was running his TQ midget. Well, he ended up missing his flight, so they decided to put me in his TQ midget to shake it down. Well, I
Oh
ended up
boy.
shaking the wall down and completely destroyed his car.
Ha
Stu shows up with his helmet bag to go see his car, and he walks up, and I was laying there pretty sore and very embarrassed, and he showed up to jump in his car, and when he showed up, the car was in a ball, and it was me who did
That was the
it.
Harry Macy #9, right?
Correct. Yep, I
Yeah,
destroyed
that's
that
a
car.
famous car too.
Well, it
ha.
was.
But still was after you. They fixed it, just not that
Oh,
day. Stu still got
well,
another ride that day, didn't he? I think he did pick something
yes.
up.
He ended up
Yeah.
jumping in '93, and I think he finished third, if memory strikes me. But he would have won in that 9 car.
Tell what you did, why you piled it in the wall.
Well, it depends on who you talk to, because I say something stuck or broke. Everyone else says my foot just never left the throttle. Other people think I got on the clutch.
That's what I
Either
thought. That's what I heard.
it's either way. The one Joel Friesen says he was standing at the end of the wall. He said the wheels were full lock left, with the left front tire locked up, and the car was wound out wide open. So
Yeah.
that's the closest. I don't know how I went so many. It was the second session I took it out for, so I don't know how I would have gone so many laps without doing something dumb. Now, don't get me wrong.
Oh, I
I
hear you.
didn't know what I was doing, but I went so long without doing anything dumb. That's why I really think something failed. But I could have screwed up.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for sure. I'd say that sounds about
Yeah.
right. And you talk about
Hold on. We ended up winning the go kart race that day,
nice,
so at least I
Correct.
did something right.
nice. And then did you have to donate your
King of
windows?
Niagara Indoors.
I was gonna say, do you have to donate any winnings back to the Friesens for that one or what?
No, I ended up taking the car over to Slack Performance in New York there, and we repaired the car, built everything all brand new for them, and no, I didn't. I needed the winnings to get home. I was broke
Yeah.
back
Yeah,
then.
for sure.
GSR wasn't your first rodeo on the chassis deal.
No, I've wrecked a few things.
Yeah, that's fair. Take us back to karting though, and talk about having road course proficiency and now being an oval guy. Did you find anything from how you developed as a driver translates to what you're doing now, or is it just so completely different being on dirt and being an oval guy?
Completely different. And it's actually funny. When I was switching over to sprint cars, everyone said, "Oh, you're going to be amazing in sprint cars. It's exactly the same as the go karts." And of course, at the time, I was pretty good in go karts, so I kind of jumped into it a little cocky, thinking, "No problem. I'll be right at the front. I'll be winning races on like my third, fifth race out, whatever." And I'm telling you, I had a wake up call. They are nothing like anything I've ever done before. Everything I did in go karts nothing transfers over. It really, really doesn't. Go karts, you gotta be so smooth. You gotta enter the corner slow, hit the bottom. Whereas the sprint car, you gotta fire it in on lap cars. You gotta run the top. You gotta get sideways. Nothing from the go kart actually transferred over. The only thing that transferred over was being able to look forward and like learn to race properly. But as far as driving,
Your smoothness came from go karts too. You're
correct. The
smooth.
smooth,
That came
yes.
from karts.
The smooth is yes, but as far as driving it, if anything, it hurt me because that's what keeps me. Like
No,
I'm
I know
sure
what you
you've
mean.
noticed, I run the bottom all the time, and that's because of go karts. You
Same here.
never go to the top in a go kart,
Nope.
No.
like
And like,
never.
yeah. Flat karts are just so keep it straight, and that's how it is on the bottom.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why when I run up on lap cars, I'm just so used to trying to get them coming off the corner on the bottom. Whereas the sprint car, you got to run it in above them, entering the corner, and that's just so foreign to me. And that's actually been my biggest problem of everything is lap traffic, and that's because of go karts.
Yeah. I agree. I always say like micros are better. Like kids in the States that can run micros when they're 10 and stuff, that's a way better training ground, obviously.
Absolutely,
But a
and
lot
that's
more expensive than flat karts as well.
I think they're even more expensive. They're definitely more expensive than a crate sprint for
Oh,
sure.
guaranteed. Yeah, micro
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, you're correct.
That's the one thing with these crate cars. Like as much as I got to be careful what I say, because yes, it costs a lot of money, but honestly, they are pretty darn cheap to run, man. They really, if you don't wad one up, you really don't. Like right now, we're making money with the crate car because just because we're not going through parts and stuff like that. Like,
And your stuff's paid for.
correct, yeah,
Yeah. And then or the GSR car that's for sale, it's like 21,000 or whatever, right? That 21 car, and Johnny Miller just finished third with it at Merrittville.
correct. That car is no longer for sale, but a brand
Whatever.
new, yeah, but a brand new GSR car, body, tins, frame, rock guard, all that. It's $7,500. That's very cheap. You put them, a brand new car, brand new crate, everything. You're 30 grand regardless.
That's all brand new
Yeah.
stuff.
All brand new for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the year, my car is probably only worth 22, 25. It really is cheap,
Yeah.
as
In the
far as
grand scheme of
racing
things,
goes.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, talk to us about why make the jump? What propelled you towards the sprint cars from the karting world?
Well, it's something I've always wanted to do my whole entire life. I just I wanted to get my life on track first. I wanted to have a nice house, nice family, nice company. And I I I got all that, right? Like I made it up to that stage, but I still didn't want to do the jump. Just because of how much money it cost. It was actually Dave Dykstra who talked me into doing it. Um I'm really happy he did talk me into doing it. Without him pushing me and helping me at the beginning there, I definitely would not have gone sprint car.
I'm glad you did, because you were one of my first heroes, and I'm glad you finally got to do it. Because we all knew that talent was buried in there. We just had to get it out of you. And we all know when you used to chirp about racing that deep down you did want to try it. We all knew.
The funniest thing is because with my company, I hated when racers came to me because I just didn't want to work on race cars because of all the drama and this and that. And now look, I closed my company down to go work for racers.
You found your deal.
Yeah, and I absolutely love what I'm doing. Great company I'm working for. I just love every moment of this right now. Everything's going good right now.
And you won the first race on the chassis. It's the perfect story, if you ask me. I love the way that worked out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, so what does the rest of 2023 and the future kind of look like now? You know, obviously the crate tour, it's got kind of the West Division, East Division, then it's coming together for a national action sprint tour division like that. Do you plan on trying to follow that tour as much as possible? Are you trying to stick to just Ohsweken? What's the plan for Brett Stratford and that BS39?
So at the beginning of the year, I planned on doing everything. I was going to travel around, go everywhere. But where the problem came is last year, I worked for my own company out of my house. I walked out my door, walked in my shop. I could work on my car at any time. So I had lots of free time. The problem is now is I got an hour drive to GSR every day. So it's an hour in, hour back. I leave at 6 in the morning. I get home at 6 at night. And I want to spend time with my dogs, with my wife. I got to come home and I still got work to do in my shop. So the problem is, it's just taking up too much time. So I decided to just run this local tour, the Ohsweken, Merrittville,
Yep.
Humberstone. But even that it's really too much. I only got one crew guy. He's awesome. He does so much, but there's still a lot that I got to do, and it's just taking too much away from my family time. So I'm gonna run every single Ohsweken and then just kind of hit and miss the Merrittville Humberstone.
That's a good way to do it, anyways.
Yeah, I don't want to commit. I'm committing to Ohsweken, but the other ones there's no commitment. If I feel like going, I'm gonna go. If I don't feel like it, I'm
Yeah.
not.
And
I
then
don't want
you
to lose the fun.
started your career when there was no Ohsweken. I was
Correct.
telling John how that kind of stunk for you.
Yeah, because that's all. I grew up in Mount Hope, 15 minutes down the road from Ohsweken. So that's when I got this sprint car. That's all I wanted to do was go to Ohsweken, and then that fake pandemic showed up, and I couldn't do that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
but
driving style fits there as well. Like, as soon as you hit the place, like, you could tell the wind was coming. It just took just a smidge longer than we thought. I was like that too. My first win took forever.
It's not as easy as people think, man. It really isn't. I'm hoping I'm right on this, but I really do feel that this train's not going to stop now. I think now that
I'm with you.
yeah, I think things are going to be different now. I hope I'm right. I could be wrong, but um,
You got a
we're
whole extra week to celebrate it because we're off Friday.
yep.
Nice.
All
Well,
right.
let's get you out of here on this one, Brett. I'm gonna give you one last race car, one final drive, any car that you could dream of driving at any racetrack. One car, one racetrack. What's the combination you pick?
Ooh, I love V8 supercars as much as it's road course. Um, I love V8 supercars. It would probably be on a road course like at Mossport. I know that sounds really, really dumb because I'm an oval guy, I'm a dirt guy. I would just, man, you watch them cars, the grunt they got, the grip they got, they're just incredible cars. I've loved them since I was a little kid, and I did a lot of racing at Mossport, and I just love that place. So,
I love
Yeah,
that.
one of the
Okay.
more unique answers we've had. Oh, you got one more for him, Travis?
Oh, I probably do a couple at least. Like the time you went to Mossport and you had your go kart in the back of your car, and then you raced the King of the Hill at the circle track with your car that you brought the go kart with. That's a
yep,
funny one.
yeah,
Or
no,
that,
we won the go kart race with my hauler, or we won the go kart race, and then used my hauler to run the King of the Hill, and I finished dead last in that.
Nice.
yeah, that was funny
And
though.
then
But then talk about the time you won. Sorry, John, in a shifter cart. Because didn't you win a super big race in a shifter cart once?
Um, I didn't win a big race in a shifter cart. I've won some races in
Champagne's
shifter
teammate
cart.
or something? Or am I
That
wrong?
was a four stroke. That was in Moseley, Montreal, and
Okay.
that is a funny one because me and my buddy Richard, we showed up with absolutely nothing, and we parked next to the people that flew in on helicopters. Everyone was laughing at us because we were a joke, and we ended up winning the Canadians. Like
Yeah.
that was actually pretty big for
I
us.
remember that one. You had a huge pick and inside track and stuff.
Yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
one for us.
Yeah.
well, now maybe I need to like recruit Brett to come be my go kart coach when I'm doing the rookie arrive and drive
Oh, we could
series.
go with Brett
Well,
forever. You do need Brett as a go kart coach at Hamilton. He would be
it's
a
I'm
much better coach than me at that.
I'm racing my go kart tomorrow at Ohsweken,
Oh, nice.
but it's actually funny. Steve Johnson, my partner building the cars, he's my fitter. He actually does more work building the cars than I do, believe it or not. He does all the notching, the bending, the fitting. The guy's friggin' awesome. But
Yeah.
anyways, his kid, I don't know how old he'd be, 7, 8. I don't know how to judge kids, whatever. But his kid started racing go karts this year. He's running a cage cart, and anyways, getting lapped. You know how it is when you
Mhm.
start,
Yeah.
right? There's like 15 of them out there, whatever. But Steve's been bugging me to work on his kid's go kart. You can't work on it unless you know what is it loose on entry? Is it loose on exit? So I told him I won't work on the go kart until he can stop waving at his daddy going down the straightaway. Once he starts learning his lines and we can actually figure out what is wrong with the go kart. Anyways, he got to the point where we now know what he's doing and whatever. So I started working on his kart. He just went from being lapped to lapping up to third place overnight. And all we did was spent 4 or 5 hours working on the kart. No parts. We we never touched the motor. Everyone thinks he's cheating now. And but we never. It's the same motor, same tires, same everything. All we did is I put the Brett magic into it. It's just move this, twist that, put some camber in here, and now he's a friggin' rocket. It's awesome. And it's the
Okay.
same thing. There's all these people saying we're cheating now with this race car, buddy. It's the same motor I've had for 4 years.
That's
We
a
didn't
fact.
even we didn't even lift the motor out of the car with the carburetor because I didn't want to ruin the gaskets on the carburetor that have been there for 4 years. We
Yeah.
lifted it from the exhaust bolt, made up all this just so we wouldn't touch the motor, and then now I'm cheating all of a sudden. It's literally
Yeah.
watch the videos. The car comes off the corner better than anybody. If you come off the
Yeah.
corner good, you know what it does down the straightaway. It goes freaking fast, right? So
Okay.
it's funny.
Last one. We got to tell the horror story of your Friday a little bit, of your trailer falling off on the way, and then the flat tire on the push track. Because like what you overcame to win that race is a story of it in itself. And we.
Yeah. Well, I have a bit of a speeding problem, as people might know if they follow me. And
Mhm.
anyways, on fourth line, heading to work, first thing in the morning, I'm doing, I don't know, buck 30, buck 40, towing my trailer, crossing the train tracks, and I crossed the train tracks, and all of a sudden my van pulled hard to the left. And I was like, whoa, I thought I hit a pothole. Then it pulled hard to the right. So I actually thought someone ran into the back of me. And so I looked in my left mirror and I could just see the edge of my fenders. And I thought, that's weird. Look in the right mirror, and there's my trailer next to me. So I got on the brakes. Well, next thing you know, I'm sideways on the road. And holy crap. So I finally got it wound down. And it was kind of funny because I stopped next to like 20 people at a little smoke shop convenience store there. They were laughing at me. So I called the boys from the GSR Fab Shop. They came down with jacks and everything. And we ended up getting the trailer back on my van. And I made her back to work with very minimal damage.
I
So
could believe no damage on the trailer.
it's crazy. I got pictures of it. I'll show you how it's all hooked up. And then we're working on Johnny Miller's car, and I'm drilling on his car, and the drill grabbed and hit me in the face, swelled up all my face. It's all blue. My lip's still a little screwed up from it. So that was another little bad thing that happened. And then we get at the track, one of my crew guys, Christopher, he draws us number one, so we're starting on the pole, and we were last going up to the grid, up to the push track, and Anthony just goes to push to make sure I'm in gear and starts yelling, "You got a flat! You got a flat!" There's air coming out of my tire. I thought he was joking. I really did. And then finally I believed him, so he pushed me back to the pit. And of course, when you got an open trailer and not much of anything, well, there's a tire in my van from last year. It's not ground. There's no air in it. No nothing. We don't know the back spacing. And Steve from GSR, he come over and helped Anthony. They changed the tire, put it on. No, they put air in it, but never got it proper. The back spacing was different. And we just barely made it to get out on the track. We get out to the push track, and instantly they pushed us out on the racetrack. And
Hell of a
then
story.
we went out and won the race. And there was like legit, the right rear was not ready.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wild.
That's awesome, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on all the success so far this year and finally breaking through for that win. Much deserved, in our opinion, and we can't wait to see what the rest of 2023 brings you. Brett Stratford on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers, buddy. And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show presented by Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Like what you hear, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.